Welcome to the Annestasis podcast with Stacey Saed. We are so excited that you are here. Our purpose is to look at life transformation that happens when people go through a relocation. We are going to listen to stories and life experiences to talk about the heart of a physical move. Welcome. Good day, friends, and welcome to the Annestasis podcast, where we talk about transformations after relocations. And today's topic that I wanted to cover and question I wanted to ask is, we keep talking about relocations primarily in a permanent sense. So whether that is a home move or someone is moving to a different space, whether it's work or anything related to that. And what we assume is that this is going to be pretty permanent. But today I want to talk about something that's a little bit different, something that I've encountered recently and something that I thought might be applicable to the Annestasis process, which is that there is an impetus, there's a reason for something changing, then there's the growing time, and then, of course, we have the new life, the transformation. So the question I ask is, what if the relocation is temporary? What if it is a vacation or a business trip or a family visit? And in my case, what if it's a retreat? What would that look like? And could the same results be received if something is not permanent in our world? So let's break it down. For me, it looked like this. I have been in a season of growth. I have been in a season of building. I've been letting go of things and bringing in new things just as a part of my day-to-day life as an entrepreneur, as a mother, as a human being. And so this process has been going on intensely for about 22 months. As one can imagine, when you are burning the candle at both ends and you are trying to be all things to everyone, there comes that wonderful opportunity for complete burnout, and I was there. So in this story, which is about me and personal, this is the action step. This is the impetus. It is just a personal, on every level, burnout. It was spiritual and physical and emotional. And my cup was empty, I think, on every level. And what I think is really wonderful is to have people in our world who can see that better than we can and care enough about us to say, you may want to think about a pause. So I'm talking about the kind of fatigue for me that looked like no matter how often or frequently or long I slept, I couldn't fully get rested. That's kind of where I was. So the relocation in my story and the story that we're going to talk about in the temporary relocation space is a retreat. And what it looked like for me was a friend of mine came in town and took a good hard look at me and could see a little bit into my world about how I was just exhausted and how things were changing and all those good things. And what they said was, you look like you might need to pause. And I knew I did. We all know we do when that moment gets there. We just don't want to admit it. And we think if we try a little bit harder, take another vitamin, tough it out a little bit more, we can make it better. But that wasn't the situation in my case. And I had a friend that was dear enough to say, your pause may need to be greater than just an afternoon off. So what it looked like was a retreat. A retreat was recommended, a place that was, it was a little bit further than I wanted to drive, probably a 5 or 6 hour car trip, which on a perfect day is not that big of a deal. But in this circumstance, it would have been counterproductive. So anyway, I flew to this place and I knew no one there and I was just walking in faith through this action. So the impetus in my story was that there was burnout and something needed to change. I couldn't move forward into a busy season of life, which is toward the end of the year, without it. So, okay, I said, uncle, and I said, yes. And I said, please and thank you. And I got on the plane and I took off to my temporary relocation, 5 or 6 hours away in the woods, a lovely place. The name of it is Loose Leaf Hollow. A lovely, lovely couple owns it. And it was just an opportunity to reset. I did not necessarily think it was going to be fuel for a podcast, especially as we talk about transformations after relocations. I, too, thought about that as a permanent relocation. I wasn't really dialed into the fact that, if we get away in some way, shape, or form, is there, in a small way or a big way, is there an opportunity for rebirth? So I get on the plane and I have no expectations. And I arrive at the place because of flights and things like that. It ended up being at night. So all that there was left for me to do was put my bag down, say hello, say thank you, and go to sleep. And I did. And for the next 3 full days, I indulged myself in rest and relaxation and meditation and amazing food and some great books and just a lot of beautiful outdoor spaces to take walks in. So I did all of those things and was so grateful. And so that was the work, or that was the growing time. What I would consider, in a move, that would be the time that we packed up boxes and things. But for me, that wasn't necessary. But the time that I spent reading or meditating or properly giving myself nutritious meals or taking, walks or whatever it was that I was doing, that was kind of the work toward it without a lot of expectation on what would be on the other side. What I saw was different. The pause in and of itself was wonderful and most appreciated. But I went from what I felt like coming into a retreat center on a gurney, figuratively speaking, was I could feel myself stand up a little taller. I didn't require as much sleep, and I could participate a little bit more. And each day brought a new level of energy. And by the end of the trip, I was laughing, and I was back to my old self just in that short amount of time. And I will tell you, that would not have happened if I were still in the same environment where I was. So if I had just taken 3 days off of work, turned my phone off, and stayed at home, I promise you the same phenomenon would not have occurred, which is a real refreshment of body, spirit, mind. It took the getting on a plane, getting in a car, going to a completely different part of the country, seeing new things, completely unfamiliar, being a part of that atmosphere and being nourished in that way of newness to create a piece of me that had just died off somewhere in the busyness of business building and mothering and life. So that was the growing time. And day 1, I woke up a little bit more. Day 2, I began to read some of the books and things that were recommended. Day 3, I felt like I had a really significant reset. So by relocating, it's almost as if I had gained the same amount of new life as probably would have been accomplished maybe taking a week or 2 off of and really unplugging from my world in my own home. That was unexpected. Even as a person who's in the middle of these podcasts, even as a person who is building a business based on relocation, even as somebody that thought they knew all good things about new life that happens after relocation, even I was surprised that a temporary change of venue could make such a difference. And I think, too, it was the type of trip that it was. I've gone on trips, I'm sure we all have, that because it's a new place and very exciting. I'm thinking Disney World off the top of my head, but, to the coast or wherever it is, sometimes those trips can be almost more exhausting than if we had stayed home, because they require a lot of things to see and places to go and deadlines to make. And those are busy trips to me. I don't think I would have experienced the same type of refreshment and rebirth if I had taken one of those trips where there was a lot of sightseeing and I didn't want to miss a thing because my time there was so short. I believe that a temporary relocation that is also focused on rest and relaxation and also doesn't demand a lot of us is really what is needed for some type of transformation. I'm not saying that a business trip that where we learn brand new things or get that real breath of fresh air for our professional lives can't do that. I'm just saying in my circumstance where it was just fatigue on every single level, it would not have been as effective. So there you find me. I'm walking, I'm meditating, I'm reading nourishing content, I'm sleeping well. The house is not mine to clean. The pets are not mine to clean. I don't have to prepare meals. I really get into that princess mode, and I can feel myself slowly but surely coming back to life. So coming back to new life. And it was interesting. I thought about the different trips I had taken over my lifetime and temporary relocations and different people I had, had conversations with about their trips and vacations. I started to ponder when I had heard that same phenomenon about other people. And I have heard that story many times, especially when people really get in new spaces and let's say they go overseas or they see some location that is completely different from their day-to-day world. I think it can happen at almost any time where the temporary relocation is one that doesn't require a lot of us, but really pours into that to us and the new situation. I think that that's available. So for me, a retreat to a beautiful area in Kentucky where I was able to breathe in fresh air and was focused on one thing and one thing only, and that was to get back energy that I needed desperately in order to do the life that I was called to do. So it was intentional. It was a gracious gift by a dear friend. It was a gracious gift by the couple that takes care of anyone that comes to this retreat center. It was a great gift to me and my family. So on the ride back, I was keenly aware that this would be the topic of the next podcast, because there it was. I was on a plane and I was back feeling more myself, probably even better than myself. It has been a rough 20 months of new life and getting used to new life and then the new pressures of life. And we all have them. My goodness, entrepreneurs are not, the only ones that go through challenging times as we build businesses. People can go through that in corporate America. People can go through that in any way, shape, or form. We all have our challenges that grow us. And what I love to do is take difficult things and turn them into a period of time that there is a new life on the other side, that it is a growing season instead of it being just one more thing on our plate, one more thing to get through. I don't know about you, but I've taken a vacation or two where even before I got in the car to go, I was hoping it was going to be over soon because it just seemed so daunting. I have been on retreats before where maybe my heart was not pointed in the right direction and I wasn't necessarily dialed into the fact that this was a dear gift and an opportunity to grow and to change and to get back on a plane or in a car or whatever mode of transportation we're using, be different and be more of the goodness that we can be when we come back. But this trip was intentional, and this trip was all about pouring into myself so that when I returned, there was something of myself to give to the world. And I was able to say yeses to things that I just had not had the energy to do before. I mean, goodness, I've got a website that needs some serious updating and some social media and some phone conversations that need to happen. And when I am burnt out and overtired, those just seem like hills too high to climb. They really do. And I don't want to live that way. I don't like to live a partially lived life where every time I went out and did something, I needed to come home and take a long nap. I don't know about you, but that is just not the quality of life that I choose to have. So for today, I am renewed. I have new life. I am able to look at my old life and existing calendar with a fresh point of view. I have phone conversations today where I am much more present and much more dialed into whoever it is I'm talking to, and I am much more attuned and present for whatever the task at hand is. And for me, guys, it was right on time because all prayers have been answered as far as work coming in. And for my company, I'm so grateful for new business and new opportunities. And so I'm excited to have a new sense of energy, a new perspective, a brighter outlook to look forward to. And that, ladies and gentlemen, and my friends, to me, is the blessing of a temporary relocation, because the effect would not have been the same, as I mentioned earlier, if I had stayed in the same surroundings. There is something important about place and space and how it is received. And I'll bring up something else too that I thought about. What if I had gotten to the retreat center and it had been a mess? What if each room was over-resourced and the closets were full and the bed had things sitting on it and the books were stacked up and the wash hadn't been done and all of that? I would have walked into a retreat center that felt worse than where it was that I left behind. And so I bring that up to say, I have the opportunity on a regular basis to make a peaceful retreat out of the place that I live in already. If I can make sure that things are put away simply, that there is not an abundance of resources where every closet is jam-packed and every drawer is overflowing, I can create peaceful moments when I don't have an opportunity to take a temporary relocation that can also bring new life. We all have that ability, and at every opportunity can take advantage of that. What if we created a mindfulness corner in our bedroom that was fresh and new, and it didn't even require a permanent relocation? What if our storage room could become a new studio for us to make new creative things? What if I could lighten my load where even every time I walked into my closet to get dressed in the morning, it was pleasant and pleasing and relaxing? I think that everything and every space that we're in gives us the opportunity for refreshment if it does not demand so much of us. So for today, I'm going to ride this wave of new energy and new life because it feels good. And it feels like this is a place that I can serve. And I'm going to return phone calls and I'm going to schedule meetings. And I am with open arms going to receive this new watershed of business that is coming our way over the next 2 months with gratitude and an open heart. And it all happened because someone recommended that I relocate for just a little bit for new life after a long 20 plus months of living. And I today am just thrilled at that opportunity. So I wish you well. I wish you transformation after relocation, whether it's temporary or permanent. And I am so grateful that you have decided to tune in with us today for the Annestasis podcast, where we do uncover stories of transformation after relocation. If you want more information, you can find us at Annestasis, which is ANNESTASIS.com. We are also on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and LinkedIn and really anywhere else we can find a place to land. This podcast is given to you by my company because we believe that the stories of the people that we serve are vastly more important than the service we provide. So we're all about storytelling here at Annestasis, and if you want more, please go to those places. I hope you have a wonderful day and you are transformed wherever you are. Thanks.